Good morning. Whew. Good morning. Welcome to Morning Brew with your girl Germaine. And there may have been a slight delay because for some reason my browser is not playing my videos, so I have to see it delayed on Instagram. Give me a second. Let me just pull up my YouTube so I can see it on there also, since I can't see it. Let's see. See it on my browser. Don't know what's happening with that. But anyway, I know it is going on. I know it is live. It's happening right now. So, yes, thank you so much. Thank you for chiming in this morning. Hopefully, you have a few minutes to stop by for a quick coffee break. I am here, and we have a brew topic for you today. Let purpose prosper you. That's the topic today. Let purpose prosper you. So, we're going to give it a few moments as people chime in. And while I am pulling up my actual live on YouTube. Okay. So, give me a moment also because I just finished brewing my coffee. So, I want to make sure I grab that so I can be well equipped on today's brew. All right. And so, with that, we're going to talk a little bit about let purpose prosper you. Purpose and prosperity can walk hand in hand. So let's take a moment so we can begin to start pouring into purpose today on Morning Brew with your girl Germaine, right? All right. So hope everybody's having a great day. I can't complain. Life is life, and as usual for a lot of us. This world, I don't know. Listen, all we could do is pray God your strength, your direction, and that you really protect the innocents, those that may be vulnerable, those that are really just in need because life is just not fair sometimes, right? And with that, okay, I have my coffee together so we can get into this. We can get into this message today. Whew, so some things have been happening in the news lately. Um, my partner, and I'm not really going to get into this, but you know what? It's going to come back and tie into this topic today. Let purpose prosper you. So there's been news, and a lot of opinions have been going around. I'm proud of my partner, Uncle Ray, because he finally made a decision to step up and start sharing his story. And as you know, I always talk about the power of our story, the power of our story. And so if you are chiming in, let me know you're in. Let me know that, hey, what you're drinking. You know me, I have my hazelnut coffee, but I am testing some new brands out. I am testing some new brands out. So welcome Harlem G 155. Thank you for chiming in on Instagram. It's so good to see you. You look like you're someone new joining me for coffee today. So welcome to Morning Brew with Germaine, and I'm so thankful that you decided to spend a few minutes with me. And as I was saying today, today's brew is all about let purpose prosper you. So I was just sharing a few moments that there's some news articles, quite a bit circulating right now around with one of my business partners, associates, who finally took a bold stance to start sharing his story. Uncle Ray, as we love and call him, and about his nephew DMX. And it's all centered around his funeral. But those things are out there, and I'm not really going to get into it. I'm going to make it a part of my morning brew. I'm going to fill it, I'm going to share parts of the story throughout. And so this article, what I realized that I realized the power in one story. And you know me as a book publisher, I talk about that a lot. I talk about the power of one story a lot. And so um it's also important that nobody can tell your story like you can tell your story. Your story is yours, and your story is power, because your story can set people free. Your story can help people heal from whatever trauma they may be dealing with. But it's important that not to let opinions in one's narrative shape your story. It's your story. And as we see in this world, people are believing lies that are going forward and not investigating to believe truth. So, with that, I just want to say I think it's important that sometimes you may have to correct how your story is showing up in the world. Okay. So, in today's message, once again, let purpose let purpose prosper you. Like I stated, purpose and prosperity can walk hand in hand. Keep that in mind. There's a myth, that if you choose purpose, it means choosing poverty. But the truth is, your calling can be both fulfilling and fruitful. And so a lot of times people, they may take on that I'm walking in my purpose, but it's been a struggle and it's hard. But it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be. Sometimes you have to trust God's process, in that and I can only speak for my own story. There may be some highs, some lows, some ups and downs, and everything like that. But I am starting to really believe that, yes, they both can go hand in hand. Purpose and prosperity can walk hand in hand. And I know a lot of times I hear people and they always talk about what somebody else has and why is it that they have this, and this, and they may not be, So you hear a lot of that. But I honestly, I can't focus on somebody else's story because it's their story, not mine. It's their story. So I'm just going to focus on my story. All right. As we go through this and the purpose that I'm called to. And and sometimes our purpose may connect, purposes can come together. I'm sitting here in purpose right now, even through Hope of Vision Publishing, my publishing company. It is purposed. It is orchestrated. It is ordained. It is my assignment. And the thing is, your purpose will prosper you. There are some things, and prosperity, we always think monetary gain, finances, and all that. And it can come in different shape sizes, however. And so, one of the riches about being a publisher, about really being someone that takes seriously the power of one's story and have been blessed to be a part of so many people's stories and helping them get their stories in the marketplace. That's me just walking in my purpose, me walking in my assignment. And so, and on the flip side of it, it's allowing them to also be able to walk in their purpose as they're sharing their stories, however that's designed for them and what that's attached to help them be able to prosper in that way as well. So, but with that, I want to really get into some things. So, we do a segment. It's called Pour Into Purpose. And in this segment, Pour Into Purpose, I'm going to just, like I said, I'm always, as I share with Morning Brew with Germaine, it's always, I'm always the first partaker in the message. And so you may hear highlights of my own journey, my life's journey, and my stories that's kind of integrated into that because I can't speak to no one else's story. And I definitely don't want to have my own opinion centered around somebody else's story. But I can be factual about my own story, right? So with that, let's pour a little bit into purpose. What comes easy to you can be life changing for someone else. I'm reminded of that a lot of times because the knowledge that we have, right? I find myself, and one of my coaches he had to stop me for a second. Coach V, actually, who some of you, if you tune in, you may know him through our Mixed Blend Wednesdays, right? So I know the knowledge that I have. So when I'm explaining things sometime to people, it might be hard for them to grasp because I'm assuming they know. And he had to let me know it's easy for you, but understand if this is my first time hearing something, or if someone is totally clueless to the very thing you're trying to express to them, then you have to understand they're not knowledgeable like you, so they don't know. And I find myself, even as we're talking through, the coffee breaks, I find myself saying, and I have to be mindful that no, maybe you don't know. And maybe you're a first timer coming here to sharing coffee with me. And so I can't assume that you are well versed in things that I've been talking about or things that I know. So please forgive me for that. I am being mindful of that, because you can really stop somebody from gaining what they need by just assuming that they know. I also tell my authors, as they're writing their stories and they're laying out their stories, be mindful. You know what comes next. The reader is relying on you to open the story up to them so they know what comes next, but don't assume they know, because most times they don't. Okay. So keep that as a little nugget. So your gifts were never meant to sit idle. Your gifts are never meant to sit idle. Your gifts are to share with the world, right? They're to share with others. And so don't sit on your blessing. Don't sit on what God has gifted you to do, because that gift, is unique for you. In the way you may manifest it in the earth or in the world, it may be just you that can do it just like that. You can't assume somebody else can. And you definitely don't want to use it for not using it, right? Uh, think about it. But let it be a blessing to someone. There's answer, there there are answers to someone's problem. Think about that. And I want to touch on that, because as I said earlier, there's been a lot of stories going around, and I really commend my partner, Uncle Ray, for being able, after 4 years of his nephew DMX passing, he finally took a stance and started sharing his story. And it's his story to share. Trust me, he has gone through a lot in this business, and he is a strong Black man. And the thing is, he's now sharing his story, and just going through and reading the comments that everybody are saying. I don't know if it's healthy sometime to read comments and opinions and stuff, but for me, I like to look at them, because where's the teachable moment in these things? And everybody has an opinion. You can't stop that, right? But the one thing is, he did reference me in the articles, um, as his business associate, and as someone, as he's pointing out, when he was in need to find the resources or the finances to bury his nephew, because all he wanted was that day, that Sunday, to give his nephew a homegoing. And so I'm going to talk a little more about this when the time, I guess, is right. I'm not sure, but I know that God laid it on my heart when my partner came and in tears, because he was so heartbroken of the rejection he was receiving, and all he wanted was to give his nephew a homegoing. And when he came to me and a business associate, Ron Sweeney, and just really poured his heart out, God laid on my heart. God laid on my heart. Um, and all I knew to do was be obedient. And so, but didn't know how. But God made a way for him to get the help that he needed to give his nephew the proper home going. And so I'm grateful, but I have to be honest. Some things, you know, you do not for advertisements, not for accolades, not for any of that stuff. Now, some people may, but I know when God laid it on my heart, it's been 4 years, and you know what? Nobody probably would have ever known but the core people that knew. But here we are today. And now you feel like you have to defend your story. I have to defend my story, because it's so interesting that even my name is in the story. Somebody else is getting credit for my name. And I don't know where this all started, that I was Master P's sister. I'm not. I am not Master P's sister. And even though I give him much respect because of what he's been able to do in this industry, who he is as an individual. But at the end of the day, there's no relation. We may have the same last name, Miller, but there's no relation. I am Germaine Miller Summers. And in the article that's been circulating around, the articles and the story, I'm Germaine Miller Summers, hyphen Summers. And God laid on my heart to sow a seed for DMX, to make sure he had the proper home going. And it's not Master P's sister. I'm not her sister. I'm not his sister. Okay. So I don't even know. The internet is not always truthful, as we probably know. And that's one thing that, and several of my authors have called me to see if I was Master P's sister, and I'm not. I don't have any brothers. I just have a sister. And so, but he is somebody that, hey, if our paths ever cross, it will be a blessing. Maybe we'll have a laugh. I don't know. But at the end of the day, you know, God put me in a position that even unknown to myself, he was able to use me in a place that was a blessing to Earl Simmons, DMX, and his family. And I'm grateful that he used me, because the one thing people don't realize, when something's part of purpose, and you know what your prayers have been, God will show you in ways that you can't even imagine. So I didn't know this would be a way that he would choose me to be able to carry something that was far bigger than any of us. And I'm so grateful. I'm grateful to those that are in my corner, my mom, who I love dearly, who is such a support for me, my husband, who, when I went to him and asked him if it was okay, not asking him for anything but his permission and his love and support, and he gave me his blessing to be able to do and what God was going to do. So I'm grateful to that, and I'm thankful to that. And getting back to it, that sometimes your purpose can become part of someone else's problem. And I think God used it in that moment. He allowed me to be used in that moment. I was just a willing vessel. And like I said, I leaned and trusted him, and he blew my mind. Even to this day, he still blows my mind. So the problem is, people can take ownership and claim over whatever they decide they want to, but at the end of the day, truth will prevail. That I'm gonna leave it there, right? Truth will prevail. But nevertheless, like I said, there may be parts of my story, and I'll get more into my story through morning brews, as the topics go forth. So with that, let's move on. Let's pour a little more into purpose. When you move in purpose, you meet real needs. And that's what that situation was, meeting a real need at that moment in time. And like I stated, I just allow myself to be accessible and used by God however he sees fit, and still a work in progress, and some things are best left quiet. Some things don't have to be broadcast, but you never know. When they come to the light, then you just want to make sure your story's correct, because people don't know the sacrifices that one may deal with for that story to even live and have the power that it may possess, so others can be set free from it. So, all right, guys. Let's keep moving through. Let's keep moving through, pouring the purpose. So you're worthy of value and compensation. Okay. So let's talk about this, because a lot of times I wonder if people equate purpose and compensation as a negative, positive, excuse me, versus a negative. But why would compensation be negative if God has blessed you in an area to allow your gifts to feed you, allow your gifts to pay you, allow your gifts to provide a livelihood for you? What's negative about that? If it's blessed by God, if God ordained it, and now you're able to walk in purpose, allow it to be the thing that prosper you, right? Especially if it's God given. So, but let's get into this. Let's talk about Serving doesn't mean self sacrifice without boundaries. Serving, that's what it is sometimes. That's what it was. In that scenario, in that story, in that situation, it was just me being a humble servant. Me being a humble servant. And really feeling the pain of my brother who was in need. And I know, who there was when I say there's a lot of opinions flowing around, people got a lot of questions why something is, why something was. I think sometimes we ask the wrong questions. I think sometimes, um, why something is what something is, but it is. It is. And the one thing I can say is being a servant. Hey, we're all called to that. I don't care what position you're in. Jesus himself was a servant. He served. He served the people. So who are we? All right, guys. Passion and profit can coexist. Yes, it can. Passion and profit, it can coexist. Being called doesn't mean being broke. Kill that myth. Kill that myth. If God is calling you to something, then we should be an example. We should be an example for God. And I tell you, what God has called, God will prosper. What God has called, God will see fit. God will make the way. God will open the doors of opportunity. God will do it. And you know what? You never know how he's going to do just that. Who he may use, in order to open that door to give you access. You don't know. Just be present. Be present and trust him. Purpose thrives with structure. Thrives with structure. Systems protect your sanity. Systems, they can protect your sanity. Yes. Planning turns vision into income. Are you a planner, or do you rely on somebody else to do all the planning for you? Ask yourself the question. Are you a planner? Are you waiting for someone to plan for you? Start planning. Start writing some things down. You might want to go back and listen to some of the previous morning brews that really kind of break some of these categories down also. But if you have not already subscribed to the YouTube channel, please make sure you go and subscribe to YouTube so you can get all of the episodes, you know, and you never know what may hit home for you. You never know what you could take on your daily journey. You never know, but you'll know if you go and tune in, right? So hopefully something is there that can help you along this journey, this thing called life. All right. The more organized you are, the more your purpose can grow. Yeah. And sometimes you have to take a pause to reset, regroup, and get your mind right, right? Get yourself in a place, because when I say life be life and life be lifing, and we can get so caught up in things that we burn ourselves out, and we just gotta, please trust me, I just had to do it. I just had to just stop, slow down, take a pause, regroup, and look at things and be like, God, I am so sorry, because I feel like I was just all up in myself, just trying to manage and work things out. And he's just standing on the side, I believe, just waiting for me. Oh, you finished? Are you done? You ready for me? Let me know when you're ready for me. I can make this a little easier for you. Yep. So the thing is, the more organized you are, the more your purpose can grow. So allow yourself to grow. Allow yourself to grow on purpose. All right. So, all right. But this is a segment right now we all can take part in, which is our reflection questions. I always like to leave two questions. I always like to leave two questions for our viewers to really think on these things. These are something that, if you water them, you never know how it's gonna, provide a harvest for you in your life. So hopefully you don't just listen to them and keep moving on. Plant the seed and see where it may show up at. So What have I been giving away that could be a stream of income? Mm. What have I been giving away that could be a stream of income? That's broad. Think about it. So when you think about your purpose, right? And remember, purpose is tied, it can be tied to prosperity. You don't have to have purpose and feel like I'm always broke and I don't have it. No, think about, be strategic even in your thinking as God's giving you instructions, as He's downloading things in you to execute. Be strategic about um what am I giving away that could be a stream of income? That could be the very thing He wants to use to feed my family, to provide for my family. There is a lot of people right now that are losing their jobs. What's in your hands? What skills have you acquired and obtained? Being at those places of business, what have you been able to learn and take away that can help equip you in your journey, right? That can also help you to be able to pivot and shift. So now, instead of you depending on somebody giving you a job, you can go out and create the opportunities for yourself. So start thinking strategically, what is those things that you can stop giving away and turn into income streams for yourself? All right. Question number 2. Where do I need to create structure around my purpose? Where do I need to create structure around my purpose? That is so important. I talked about just yesterday, talking about being in an idea, that our ideas need air, right? Maybe not yesterday, the other day. But I begin to look at it and say, right now, me even being on this live, I'm sitting in an idea that had to have structure put around it in order for me to be able to show up Monday through Fridays, 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, to be able to be well equipped with even the message, the brew topic, to be able to bring that forth. So, how are you structuring the ideas that you are that's being downloaded in you, or that you're creating, that may be tied to your purpose? And it can also, once again, generate income streams for you. Think about that. It's a lot to think about. Get your notebook out or get your notes, but start jotting some things down and be totally honest with yourself. And then, we also talked about in a previous coffee brew that you may want to go back and listen, the same one about ideas. You might want to see who's that core group of people that you can share some ideas with to see if it even makes sense, right? Because you need that accountability partners. You need someone to kind of poke holes in it. Don't get upset about it, but just begin to start opening up your mind to see things a different way. Look at the full picture, not just a piece of it, okay? All right. So those are the 2 reflection questions that I always like leaving. They're always different based on the brew topic. All right, guys. So, this is a time we're starting to come to an end, but I like to share, and I always like to give thanks, because there are so many people in my ecosystem in my life that have been instrumental with me being able to live in my purpose, to be able to um share in their stories that help build my platform for being able to help get their stories out to the world through my publishing division, Hope of Vision Publishing, or HOV Publishing. And so, with that, I just always like to give thanks. I'm so grateful and I'm so thankful. And I'm so thankful that people find it within themselves to take a few minutes of their busy schedule and their time, because time is something we can't get back. So once it's gone, right? So, um, but wait a minute, I am reading a book called Buy Back Time. I am reading this book and how you could do that. And it's so good that it's helping me to be more organized and to be more structured, and how I'm able to gain pieces of time back without exhausting it all, because I'm not being as structured as I could be. or being able to delegate as well as I should, right? So, with that, pretty much, I'm just thankful and I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you to all those that are support, all those that support this platform. You support this platform through the partnership that I have, buymeacoffee.com/ morning brew with Germaine. And so I want to convey the message because you might be new to this, and and over time you may see that this really it pours into you. So with that being said, I just want to share a quick message that will allow people to come together as community, because what $1 can do is absolutely amazing. We think $1 is just 4 quarters, 10 dimes, 20 nickels, 100 pennies. But at the end of the day, what $1 can do to change a life collectively is incredible. So that's the purpose for the how one can support Morning Brew and what we do. Being able to give back to the community is allowing our dollars to come together to support the platform as the platform goes in the community and support the people. There's a lot of people in need right now and don't know where their next meal is coming from, don't know how to execute their next story or idea because they don't have the resources and finances to do that. So I am so grateful for those that take their hard-earned resources and see fit to pour it back into Morning Brew with Germaine, as collectively we can go out and share with the world your resources. So here's a moment, if you can just welcome to Morning Brew with your girl Germaine on Buy Me a Coffee. Every cup you buy helps fuel inspiration, conversations, and creative content for our growing community. So grab a seat, stop by for a coffee break, sip with us, and thank you so much for pouring into purpose with me. Morning Brew, I'll see you in the next coffee break. So thank you for that. And I noticed the one thing that I did not do is share the actual information, buymeacoffee.com/ Morning Brew with Germaine. So I'm going to put that up on the screen and just give those an opportunity if they decide they do want to share. And I'll also share the QR code with you as well. If you decide you are someone for as little as $1 a day that you want to be a support to being a part of the community outreach, to be able to really help someone in need, and all those stories will be shared with you. Absolutely. So you can see where your contributions are going to. Okay. But thank you again for your support. And like I said, as little as $1, you can scan the QR code right there. And then also, I'll just add the link up on the screen also so you can see how else you can support through buymeacoffee.com/ morning brew with Germaine. Okay. So with that being said, let me get into the segment, the final sip. So, in the final sip, as you may not know, let me be mindful, as you may not know, this is where I like to just leave some words of encouragement, inspiration for you along your journey. And with that, keep this in mind. Purpose isn't just about passion. It's it's about sustainability. You can serve and succeed. Okay. So purpose isn't just about passion, it's about sustainability. And just know you can serve and succeed at the same time. So, you know how we like to do. I made my coffee and I didn't even take one sip. So, I'm going to do it right now. So, we like to sip slow, but I want you to begin to speak bold and I want you to show up. All right. So thank you so much if you have chimed in today. And on Fridays, we do our Authors Brew Friday. So please, please make sure you stop by to meet the author that we're going to have in studio tomorrow, sharing her story. And also, if you are an author and you want to be able to come on Morning Brew with Germaine and share your stories, I am open. Make sure you visit us at morningbrewwithgermaine.com and let us know that you are interested in being a guest for Authors Brew Friday, or you want to share your area of expertise on Mix Blend Wednesdays. We look forward to having you. And if you have not done so, please make sure you go over to YouTube and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Morning Brew with Germaine. Make sure you like, subscribe, and this algorithm thing, I guess it's starting to pick up because I've been so consistent. I've been consistent for 6 months. And yes, we are celebrating our 6 month mark. And it is something to truly be celebrated because you have no idea how hard it was to show up every day, especially somebody that's so used to working behind the scenes. Showing up every day and bringing inspiration, sharing coffee with you, tea with you, whatever you're drinking. So I am so excited. And yes, I'm going to give myself a pat on the back because that was hard. It was hard. But when I made the decision to be committed to it, I'm proud of myself. And you should be proud of yourself too for your wins. So, with that, make sure you go over to YouTube and join the channel. The community is growing on a global level. And you know what? It's only to provide more eyes on those that are part of our community that are sharing their story globally with the world. So, thank you. Be a part of it. Be a part of it. Share it with someone else to be a part of it. There's a lot of fun and exciting things that's coming. And I hope you can be a part of its growth. So, with that being said, be safe in these streets. Please be safe in these streets. And I'll see you tomorrow. Hopefully, you have a few minutes to stop by. Talk to you soon. Have a great day. Bye bye.